I'm that person who watches your every move, zooming in on you, profiling you, looking for suspicious body language. Okay, it's not that creepy. And more than anything, I'm one of the guardian angels who help keep the streets safe along with the police. You should be glad of our existence. As a result, it was a job I've wanted ever since I was a kid, seeing those ominous security cameras in precincts and high streets. Even I knew that someone was watching them, and I longed to be the person who controlled the city. Not everything was true. I always thought the same people would authorize pedestrians to cross the road, but we all know those are automated. When I landed the council CCTV job, I couldn't believe it. I mean, it was par for the course. I had previously been the eye in the sky for a department store chain, so I had more than enough training and accreditation to watch over a town. It sounds hard, but it really isn't. When working CCTV, you tend to find ways of making a big place look small. After all, you can't watch over an entire place at once, but there are places that are worth watching more than others. At my old job, it was the areas without cameras that were prime. Goods were bound to mysteriously vanish when they went there. In the end, I practically knew someone was going to conceal, so I would dispatch a floor officer to man the front door. It was a good job. I only lost it when someone took my position. Let's just say I saw him during training. They asked him to zoom into a suit jacket on a rack. He zoomed into the floor instead. I kind of feel sorry for the store, but it was their decision to let a good security officer go. But more about my new job. You may be imagining a comfortable, dimly lit room, monitors on a desk along with a two-way radio, a cup of coffee, and a joystick. You're not wrong, but most of the time the room is brightly lit. There's mutable desks and employees all watching cameras, all assigned to different areas, but night shifts are different. The lights are dim. There isn't anyone else, and it's just me and cameras for the whole town. I normally throw the cameras up on the video wall while I browse the internet on the computer. For most, it's a very comfortable environment, especially to watch the whole town from. Some people think CCTV jobs are scary, and I agree when the compound you're watching is right outside the door, but who cares if the monster is across town? That all changed last night. Last night was one of these. Pretty much every night it's really easier than day, despite having the whole town to watch. Unless it's a holiday or there's a special event on, it's always quiet and nothing ever happens. The pub kicking out time is always fun to watch though. I decided to attack this shift in the same way as others. Throw the cameras on the big screen, browse the internet, and only touch the joystick and walkie-talkie if I saw something or heard something through the radio, which goes directly to the police. The first few hours were going like normal. I'd only had to use the talking feature on the cameras to tell someone to put their rubbish in the bin. I was literally right next to where they littered or meet a police officer. Laziness knows no bounds. Another hour, and the streets were empty. The only life was the occasional moth. It should be worth noting that this town is currently upgrading some of the older CCTV infrastructure. We're talking cameras from the 80s and even 70s, primitive to begin with, and now time has taken its toll. Most of these cameras have been disconnected or even removed. With the images they produced, it was better not having them, especially knowing that new ones are being installed. Out of the 235 cameras I was watching, about 12 of these were these old cameras, and this night only about 4 were operational. Luckily, the other newer cameras have good zoom to cover the areas. About an hour later, I was mindlessly watching the video. When the camera switched, it was one of the old ones, but through the grainy, low frame rate and barely usable video, I could make out a kid in the dark. It was 12:30. Why would a kid be out at this time? Picking up the cold walkie-talkie in one hand and thumbing through the cameras with the other, I switched to another nearby camera, angled it around, and zoomed in the direction. Indeed, there was a kid between the ages of 9 or 12. Making a note of the location of the camera, I went to speak into the radio, but as I did, the kid turned around and started walking down the street towards the camera. His eyes were black. I dropped the radio as I went to pick it back up and call myself stupid for getting so scared at a camera glitch. I saw something else. This camera was only a block, less than that, away from the council offices where I was. Immediately, I picked up the radio, and without even checking what channel it was on, I just started talking. I just saw a youth down the road from the council offices building. Can you send a car to investigate? Unfortunately, we aren't fully police, which means we can't send out a car or officer, only inform. That's why our radios have 2 channels. That one goes to dispatch and one that goes directly to the police radio. We aren't technically supposed to use the second. It's meant only for listening, but we often use it anyway, especially with something that might be gone quick. I heard dispatch authorizing a vehicle with 2 PCSOs on board and immediately knew I had it on the second channel and 2 CSOs. Better than nothing, I guess. I watched the youth for a few minutes as he stood around just down the road from where I was. I could even see my building in the background. He seemed to be inching himself down the road, closer and closer. I got up from my chair and looked out the only window, one that has blinds which you pull once, and they stay open for like 5 seconds. I got a glimpse of the streetlight pole with the camera, and what I now know was a BEK. In case you don't know, a BEK or black-eyed kid is a modern urban legend involving kids with pale skin and black eyes who beg, hitchhike, or knock on your door. They're scary, but up until this moment I thought they were just a scary story, one of them CreepyPasta things. I made my way back to my station to anxiously wait for the police officers. I saw the kid was now nearly directly under the LED streetlight. I operated the camera and zoomed in, noting the black eyes and the pale skin, a mix between Irish and meat, a sickening sight. I grew increasingly nervous, picking up the radio again and asking any ET on the 2 PCSOs for the youth down Redacted Road. They got back directly, just coming around Redacted Road right now. We were just cleaning up some litter up on Redacted Road, not much to do tonight. And just like that, I see the familiar Battenberg car on the camera. They pull over, and before they could get out, the kid walks up to the car using a microphone and the camera. I'm able to listen in. The officers asked the kid why he's out at this time of night, and he just asked if he can hop in for a ride home. Classic BEK behavior. I watched and listened on for minutes as the officers questioned the kid. He claimed he was 11, had snuck to see his friend but got lost. He gave an address on the other side of town, and the officers let him in. I noticed the police car rocking and zoomed into the windscreen. What I saw I'll never forget. The BEK had PCSO redacted the driver and headlock with a knife that was gleaming under the streetlight. In this town, at least, community support officers are defenseless. No tasers, nothing aside from a radio and the uniform, so it made sense when my radio roared into life with an emergency call. The sound of the officers struggling came through clear as day, and then the BEK succeeded in hijacking the police car. As I've said earlier, I always have that sense that something is going to happen even before it does. So as I watched the car careen into the council offices, I was already reporting a car crash through the radio. Bang! Instantly my view of the car was obstructed by steam, flying debris, and a bright light. Fire! The car was burning. And quick, I grabbed the radio and raced outside, the fiery car some 20 feet away. I approached in hope of a rescue, but it was too late. The fire was spreading big, and one of the officers had been partially ejected. He appeared very dead as I transmitted with my radio, reporting a car crash and now fire at the council offices building. I noticed a glow in the road by my feet. It was just the officer's radio, which had been thrown across the road. I went home early. In the morning I checked the news. Police are investigating a fatal collision between a police vehicle and the council offices building. 2 officers and a third unknown carjacker are said to have died in the accident. It made no mention of a BEK or it even being a kid. But while firefighters tackled the blaze, the whole road was closed off. So I got off work today, and if I'm honest, I'm wondering if I should go back. The whole town is mourning the loss of 2 PCSOs, and I'm kind of the person who did it. But what would have happened if I didn't report the BEK?